Hello there, this podcast is dedicated to homeostasis. Now, the first thing we should do really is define what homeostasis is. Now, homeostasis is the body controlling its internal environment. So what does that mean? Well, the body inside, what does it control inside the body? It controls temperature, controls sugar levels, glucose levels, it controls water content, and it controls ions. Not much is ever examined about the water and ions, and sugar is a whole different podcast really about how sugar levels are controlled and by what hormones. So this podcast is going to be dedicated to temperature control. Now, temperature control is more scientifically known as thermoregulation. Regulation of temperature. Now, thermoregulation is detected. The temperature is detected by the hypothalamus, which is in the brain. So if we get a drop in temperature or an increase in temperature, it's detected by the hypothalamus, which will then cascade a series of events in our body and a series of processes in order to bring our temperature back down to the normal or back up to the normal of 37 degrees. So let's split this into two, and let's say hot and cold. Now, the thermoregulation you need to know about is very much skin related. So let's have hot, and let's make a table. So when it's hot, we will sweat. Okay? Well, how does that help us? Well, water is from the sweat gland. Got ahead of myself there. Sweat gland onto the skin. So the water is released onto the surface of the skin. So you've got your sweat gland running up here. Your droplet of water sits there. So your sweat gland is usually represented like this. And this water will evaporate off. And as that evaporates off, it cools the skin down. So we can just put water evaporates. That's one mechanism. Next mechanism is vasodilation. What is vasodilation? Vasodilation is where the blood vessels dilate. So how does that help us? That helps us because we get an increase in blood flow to the surface of the skin, losing heat through radiation. And how does that look in a diagram? That looks in a diagram. You've got your skin again. You've got your blood vessels like this. The blood has got two routes. It can go that way or that way. So when you're hot, your blood is allowed to go to the surface. So it dilates, and it gets wider. So all the blood goes to the surface of the skin. Through radiation, heat can be lost like that. Now the last one. Let me adjust my paper. The last one is hairs lie flat. So on the surface of the skin, the hairs will lie flat like that. The hairs lie flat. And why? So no air is trapped at the surface. More about that in a second when we talk about what we do in cold. So that is hot, sweat, vasodilation, hair lie flat. That is turn. When we're cold then, we don't sweat of course, what we do is shiver. Why do we shiver? Well, we shiver because movement uses energy, and the energy comes from respiration, and when we respire this produces heat. It's a very long way round really, trying to keep ourselves warm, clinging on for dear life, but it's this movement which needs energy. Energy comes from respiration, and when we respire, a byproduct is heat, which helps us get a little bit warm. The main thing in mammals, and we aren't that hairy anymore, but a lot of mammals still are, is the hair thing again. Hair stands on end. So we get this going on. And what the hair stands on end, it traps a layer of air, not heat, air, which provides insulation. So it's effectively you're wearing a mini jumper. It's got this layer of air being trapped. And like I say, it's not that effective as it was anymore. But if you had a very hairy mammal, like most mammals are, then that would really be effective. That layer of air would provide like a little jacket for the animal. Lastly then, this is for the higher people, you have the opposite of vasodilation. You have vasoconstriction. And conversely to the vasodilation, you have this system going on again. So when you constrict, you close something off. The blood hasn't got the option of going up to the surface anymore because this constricts, no entry, and it sends the blood this way, keeps it away from the surface. So what that equals is less heat lost through radiation. And they are your three mechanisms for what happens when you're cold, and three mechanisms what happens when you're hot. Two are the same, vasodilation in hair, do with hair and vessels, and one unique to each one, sweat and the shiver. Okay, have a go at the exam question. It's 6 marker, but try and have a go at it, and then I'll talk you through how I would approach that question. Thank you.